I'm James. Have you ever had a crazy dream? If you have, you'll probably relate to the story Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Charles Lutwidge Dodgson. The story first started out when Charles and three girls were on a boat. One of the girls' name was Alice, so Charles used the name as the main character. Several months later, Charles both illustrated and handwrote Alice in Wonderland for the actual Alice as a Christmas present. The original copy or manuscript was more than a Christmas present to Alice. When she grew older, she became a widow and had no income. So she sold the manuscript to get financial support to save her elderly life. The story begins with Alice and her sister sitting on a bench on the bank. Her sister was reading a book, but Alice had nothing to do. Then, suddenly, a white rabbit scampered across the grass, and Alice soon followed. Soon, both Alice and the white rabbit fell into a rabbit hole behind the hedge. In the rabbit hole, surprising things happened left and right. Sometimes she's so big that a house can't fit her, and sometimes she's so small that a mushroom seems vast to her. In the end, she realized it was only a dream when her sister woke her up. The dream is definitely interesting for the reader, but if you think a bit deeper, you'll notice that Alice seems frustrated at Wonderland, possibly unhappy there. Here's an example. When Alice arrived at the Mad Tea Party, the March Hare exclaimed, "No room, no room," which can show that the March Hare didn't want Alice to join the Mad Tea Party. Also, when Alice met with a pigeon, the pigeon exclaimed, "Serpent," and Alice, in the book Lewis Carroll wrote her as, replied indignantly. I don't think anyone treated this way would be happy, no matter what. This sort of frustration also reflects on Alice and the Creatures of Wonderland. Though Alice in Wonderland is a fictitious and an absurd story, there's something that we should all note, is that the characters are like the people that we may interact with daily. Take the Hatter and his dialogue as an example. When Alice stated that "I mean what I say" is the same thing as "I say what I mean," the Hatter replied rather directly. "Not the same thing a bit," said the Hatter. "You might just as well say that 'I see what I eat' is the same thing as 'I eat what I see.'" There's also another piece of evidence. During the Mad Tea Party, the Hatter found out his watch was malfunctioning, and he blamed the March Hare who attempted to fix his watch, saying, "2 days wrong," said the Hatter. "I told you butter wouldn't suit the works," he added, looking angrily at the March Hare. Based on the dialogue as read before, does the Hatter sound like someone that you may interact with daily? Dogmatic, even a bit lack of empathy? I don't think the Hatter wants to hurt someone's feelings on purpose, but his way of speech exactly does so. Honestly, I have the problem too. What happens is a sudden wave of frustration and anger overtake, and rude words fly out. After calming down for a few minutes, I feel a pang of regret. The author, Charles, was a great storyteller, and he not only used Alice in Wonderland to entertain the actual Alice, but to also give a blessing for her growth. Allow me to read it. Lastly, she pictured to herself how the same little sisters of hers would, in the aftertime, be herself a grown woman, and how she would keep, through all her riper years, the simple and loving heart of her childhood, and how she would gather about her other children and make their eyes bright and eager with many a strange tale, perhaps even with the dream of Wonderland, of long ago, and how she would feel with all their simple sorrows, and find pleasure in their simple joys, remembering her own child life and the happy summer days. That's so much for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.